We're now going to do lizard pose. There are different variations of doing lizard pose. Lizard is a hip opening stretch. So we can either do an open hip or a closed hip. We're going to start with the open hip because I think the open hip is a lot more easier for people, and I like it as well. So we're going to start with our right leg out in front. We'll go to that low lunge first just to cue you in because we've already practiced that one. If you have any sensitivity in the knees, which I do, turn your mat over and bring that left knee on top of the mat. So we'll start on your right foot. Just step your right foot out in front just to come into that low lunge and stack your knee to your ankle. From there, bring the hands down on the floor, and we're just going to wiggle our right foot over to the corner of the mat. Now, when you get that right foot, you want your toes off the mat. So your toes are right off the mat, but your right heel is still on the mat. So toes are on the floor, and your heel is still on the mat. You need to check that your knee is in line with that ankle. So again, remember your alignment, knee down, travels to that second toe. And your toes are all spread out. So you've got that space in the feet here as well. And this left knee, if you have tighter hips, of course your knee may be in closer there, but if you know that you have more space, just wiggle that knee a little further back behind your hips so you have extra space in your lizard here. Your wrists are stacked to your shoulders when we're there as well. And I always move around a few times in lizard because, again, it's one of those stretches where it's nice to move rather than just stay still. I do usually cue this in at the beginning, move around a little bit, find a bit more space, take some circles in the hips, and then we stay and we hold it. So we're getting that deep stretch through your psoas into your core there, as well as that hip flexor into your hamstring there, underneath that hip, and it should feel quite nice. So again, I said there's very different variations. So we can either keep the right foot connected to the floor completely, or we can also turn onto the outside edge of your right foot. So you're on the knife edge of your right foot, which gives you more space in the hip. And this is what I usually like to do because it does feel really, really nice to be there. And same again, just move around. You just move around, guys, and see where you feel the tightness, the stagnation. Where does your body need to move to let go of anything you're holding on to? Your hips are where we carry our emotions as well. And when we have all these emotions, sometimes you may feel a bit emotional. Emotions can come up that you might be storing from years and years ago of possible traumas or anything that you could be carrying. We carry these in our hips. So when we're here, you may feel, I've had clients who feel quite emotional in classes, and it's happened to myself as well. So once we've moved around a little bit, everyone again is different. You could get the forearms on the mat. You have more space there. You bring the forearms. Oh, my hip just popped there. My hips like to pop. You bring the forearms on the mat. And I do see this as well, where one forearm is here and the other one is lifted. If you're not ready to bring that other forearm down to the mat, you stay on your hands so that the body is even. Or you can bring your blocks down in front of you so that you can bring the floor to you, and then you can bring those forearms on those blocks, and it just feels nicer because then you've got more space there rather than trying to force that right arm down to the mat because your body's just not ready. It's just not ready to do it yet. And as you progress into it, you might find in the first breath, you're still here. In the second breath, you're starting to loosen up a little bit, and then you are starting to feel like, oh, I can go down more now. It's about the breath. Remember, your breath is going to get you there. It's the breath. Breathing in. Exhale more so that your body relaxes and opens up. And same, I've put my big toe back on that mat there because that feels nice today. Otherwise, keep it open. And then just walk your way back up if you were on those forearms, and gently bring your right foot back. So that's your open lizard. You can do the closed version, which is here. And your right arm is going to hug your right leg. So everything squeezes in towards each other. And you're in lizard here. Roll those shoulders back from there. And imagine that you have super glued your right arm to your right leg. So everything is connected and squeezing in. And we do want to still try and keep your knee in line with your ankle. And if you wanted to progress, you can also lift your left knee off the mat, roll your shoulders back. Sometimes, again, I cue this in, roll, wiggle movement back and forwards a few times, but the knee is not out here. The knee is connected towards your shoulder, to that tricep, and you stay here and hold, and we breathe there again for another 5 more breaths. You can round the back as well. You can take a cat, you can bring the chin into the chest, you can hold it there and squeeze, and then let's bring that knee down to the floor. Okay, let's gently bring that right knee back, sit your hips onto those heels, just give yourself a little breather before we do the other leg. Rolling those shoulders back. So again, in a vinyasa class, we usually hold lizard for, it's always, everything in vinyasa is about 5 breaths, work into 3s, work into 5s, no longer than that, but sometimes I will make people stay longer. Again, there are no rules. If you ever do a yin yoga class, lizard is a yin yoga stretch as well. So it's a deep hip opener. We can hold it for a minute, we can hold it to 5 minutes, because it's really, really good to open up the fascia in those hips as they do get really, really tight, especially if you sit down all day, which is, they say sitting is the new smoking because not many people move enough. So we need to move more because movement is part of our longevity and our health. All right, let's do that left side whenever you're ready to begin. Let's take our left foot to the top. Go into that low lunge first. Step your left knee out in front, stack your knee to that ankle. And then when you're ready, we're going to wiggle our left foot over to the corner of your mat. Bring your right knee behind that hip. Give yourself a little bit more space. And then just move. Sway it out. Move from side to side. And just take your time. Take that connection. Breathe it in. And exhale. Breathe it out. If you're feeling like you are having one of those bad days where the emotions come up, especially as females, we are emotional. We might be due up period and those emotions are there, or we just finished our period and the emotions are there. Just let it out. If you need to cry, let it out. Just keep rocking those hips side to side if you feel that's nice, or if you feel like you want to come all the way down on those forearms. For your hold there, we bring those forearms to the mat again. Only thing there, I just want you to check your knees in line with your ankle on that left side, protecting the knee joint. Coming on the outside knife edge if you feel like that's good, or just keep your left toes on the mat. Again, whatever you feel is good for you. Coming on those blocks if you need to come on your blocks. And just take that nice inhale breath. And then exhale, let your body soften, relax into it a little bit more. Every day is so different, guys. One day we feel on top of the world. And then other days, not so much. And that's when our body also speaks to us, because when we get tight, we store all that cortisol in our bodies as well. And then that makes us tighter. And that's why when we just breathe and we let go on the exhale, the body's like, breathe a sigh of relief, let go. Let it all go, as the song says. Okay, we'll try now. Come back up on those hands if you are on the forearms. And we're going to wiggle our left foot back in, but this time it's that closed lizard. So that left knee, just in case you weren't sure before what I was doing, I'll show you from this angle. So the knee here is hugging. So you're touching. Everything is touching on that closed lizard. So it's not runner's lunge. We are actually touching the leg, and we're going to stay there and hold it with your toes facing forward on that one, toes facing the top of your mat. And then if you feel like you want to lift your right knee off the mat, lift your right knee off the mat, spread your fingers out as well here, stack your wrist to shoulders, soften the elbows. And if you want to move forward and back, tuck your tailbone, squeeze your core, make your core work as well there. If you want to rock it back and forward a few times, you do whatever you need to do there. If you wanted to round your spine, maybe straighten more, squeeze your core. And then we'll take one more breath. Breathe in. And exhale, breath. And then if you're ready, you want to lower that knee down towards the floor. And sit your knees back down, hips to heels. And that is your lizard stretch. Give those shoulders a roll back a few times, or anything you need there, guys. Just shake yourselves out. That's lizard. Very deep hip opener. One of my favorites to do. I like to do them quite often in classes. So enjoy. We'll move on to the next video now.